On June 5th, 2018, it's time for our deep dive. On June 5th, 2018, Delaware became the first state outside of Nevada to officially legalize sports betting. The move coming 3 weeks after the Supreme Court struck down the 1992 federal law that banned commercial sports betting in most states. And boy, has it taken off since. According to the American Gaming Association, sports betting is legal and live in 21 U.S. states and Washington, D.C., but more are on the way. 7 states, including the third most populous state of Florida, recently legalized sports betting, while 9 others have active or pre-filed legislation for 2021.
A notable map there. And now if, I've asked you to place a bet on which state has seen the most money wagered on sports betting since June of 2018, referred to as a handle, you'd probably put your chips on Nevada, right? After all, it's a city that has been synonymous with gambling for decades, but you would actually be wrong. Nevada actually ranks second behind New Jersey, which has seen over $15 billion in wagers in just under 3 years. Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Indiana round out the top 5 as the only states to have a handle of over $3 billion. Pretty impressive there, Alicia. I know New Jersey, one of the first states really to hop on this bandwagon, and some of these sports betting companies, they do have a pretty strong presence here in the East Coast. DraftKings, for instance, based in Boston, and so a lot of this East Coast presence, I think, helping boost that New Jersey to the top spot.
Also, part of that, the other side of that geography equation that really matters is that New Jersey is surrounded by 2 of the biggest cities in the country, New York and Philadelphia. I actually remember when this was legalized in New Jersey, I was living in Philadelphia, and we were doing stories down there at the time of people from Philly hopping over the Benjamin Franklin Bridge or the Walt Whitman Bridge. It takes 5 minutes, and betting, going on their phone and betting there, or buying a second phone line, giving it to a friend that lived in South Jersey, and then when they wanted to place a bet, they had their friend do it on that phone that lived in South Jersey because you had to just physically be there or your phone had to be there. Again, that stuff probably happening also in New York. So just the sheer number, the population in these 2 cities, it makes sense why it would prop up the number for New Jersey on top of just New Jersey people as well betting there when they're there or if they live there.
Absolutely.
All right, so which sports are jumping into the pool of sports betting and which platforms are benefiting most? Well, it certainly wasn't the first league to engage in sports betting. The NFL sent shockwaves through the sports world when it announced the first ever U.S. sportsbook partnership last month. The lucky partners, of course, Caesar, DraftKings, and FanDuel. As part of this arrangement, all 3 partners will have the exclusive ability to leverage NFL marks within the sports betting category and activate around retail and online sports betting. Additionally, Caesar's will continue as the league's official casino sponsor, while DraftKings and FanDuel will be able to enhance their fan experience with NFL highlight footage and next-gen stat content. But other leagues are making recent headlines as well when it comes to sports betting. The NBA has announced a 30-minute weekly NBA Bet TV show presented by BetMGM. The WNBA strikes a gaming partnership with PointsBet, and the MLB has hit a home run with Bally's. Not only is the corporation now broadcasting games in several markets across the U.S. via regional networks, but also Bally has become Major League Baseball's authorized gaming operator. All of this activity has been a boom for sports betting stocks. From mid-April of last year to mid-April of this year, Penn National Gaming, DraftKings, MGM, and Flutter, the parent company of FanDuel, all seeing their shares jump more than 100%, Kristen. I looked at all of these stocks today. I saw MGM, for example, went from $17.65 about a year ago, up now around $42. Flutter from $65 about a year ago to $93, and the biggest move was really Penn National Gaming. Went from about $29 to $80 and around 40 cents at one point today, and that's a stock that just a few years ago started at $15 a share.
Absolutely incredible. And if we can, let's try to get that full screen back on the screen here, because I think, look, the Dave Portnoy effect, Stool Presidente, as we know, his effect is real, and we saw it impact the stock market in April, May, and early June of last year in 2020, when live sports, basically had come to a halt. Well, now we know, since sports have been coming back online more and more, we've actually seen, since the Reddit stock trading saga, stock trading volumes did decline a little bit in the wake of that, again, coinciding with the return of sports. And so I think one thing is for sure, we've seen it on display this past year, and these states, they need to collect money, so they want to allow this to happen. This market is real, and it's hot.
Certainly, the past year has been hotter than probably the past 2 years, but there is continuous momentum upward.
Okay, one last thing that we can bet on is your network of choice shifting their programming toward sports betting. So last month, ESPN offering an alternate broadcast for an NBA game featuring the Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers, with discussions centering around tracking live odds, discussing future bets like who will win league MVP and the NBA title, as well as a betting-themed pregame and halftime show. ESPN also finding success with its sports betting show Daily Wager, while also debuting a betting-centric chalk page on ESPN.com. CBS, meanwhile, featuring programming around its Sportsline platform. There have also been some noteworthy acquisitions in the space. Action Network recently acquired by Better Collective for $240 million, and Vegas Sports Information Network acquired by DraftKings. So this is important here. The strategy of an increased emphasis on sports betting could pay off for networks, literally. Doug Kazarian, host of ESPN's Daily Wager, won nearly $300,000 during last month's NFL draft by successfully winning a prop bet. Look, that's the thrill of it, right? You can definitely lose money, but you can also win a lot of money.
You know, it just sounds like a ton of exciting and new opportunities, and new being the key word, because that's what builds all of the excitement, right? You know, there's a lot of money to be had here. I looked at some of the stats, and it was like $3 billion in betting happened last October. That's a stunning amount in just 1 month. Excuse me, in sports betting specifically, $3 billion. So a ton of money to be had and to be spread around, from networks to these new companies that are spawned out of this industry, to even the average person, you know, maybe winning a few $100,000 or just a few $100s. But the concern is, and there's been a lot of concern, especially over the pandemic, of gambling addiction when it comes to sports betting. Yeah. And so you got to imagine that some of that, as we continue with the excitement here, that some of that will linger into this momentum as well, and companies will have to continue to address that. And of course they do to a certain extent now. But that's going to be a growing concern that there's been a lot of talk of over the last year particularly.
All good points. I also think we just have to note here, really as a footnote, that, look, the coronavirus has wiped out economies big and small, and for states, by legalizing this and providing taxes on it, it is a way for them to make money. And so I think that's one of the reasons, right, that we could see an acceleration, certainly, of the legalization in certain states from here.
Yeah, it's certainly the reason the states are really eager to have this a part of their cash flow coming in.